rebel group also met with the U.S. Secretary of State to urge the White House to speed up arms shipments to anti-Assad forces, with promises that the weapons would not fall into the wrong hands. But the pledges come as divisions within the opposition deepen. And as RT's Paul Scott reports, the former allies may soon become sworn enemies.
While the opposition are united in their desire to overthrow President Bashar al-Assad, that seems to be where their similarity ends. The Syrian National Coalition is the umbrella group recognised internationally as the legitimate representative of the Syrian people. But they don't represent all factions opposed to Assad. One group operating out of their control, for example, is the al-Qaeda-linked al-Nusra Front. The coalition say they've hijacked the revolution, while they've been classed by many in the West as a terrorist organisation. Elsewhere, a separate Syrian group affiliated to al-Qaeda helped facilitate a jailbreak in Iraq over the weekend, freeing high-ranking al-Qaeda operatives. Infiltrated by foreign fighters, al-Nusra's agenda seems separate from that of the coalition, and it's even led to infighting. One FSA commander was killed by a rival group, and the FSA feel they could soon be fighting on two fronts. But when we use the phrase opposition, exactly who are we talking about? Well, the coalition alone is made up of at least 11 different groups, including the Muslim Brotherhood, who have recently called on the US and the EU to send arms in the battle with Assad, while only offering loose guarantees they won't fall into extremist hands. There's also the coalition of secular and democratic Syrians, the Syrian Democratic People's Party, Supreme Council of the Syrian Revolution, and so it goes on. The disparate nature of the Syrian opposition, combined with the presence of Islamic extremists, means any nation looking to support the rebels are walking a continual tightrope, with very few guarantees that any military support won't backfire and actually encourage the one thing they're trying to fight elsewhere.
Meanwhile, President Obama's plans to send arms to the forces fighting the Assad government were condemned by lawmakers in the U.S. Senator Rand Paul claims the White House is playing a dangerous game of double standards over Syria.
As we continue to aid and arm despotic regimes in Egypt, we are also about to send weapons to Islamic rebels in Syria. This is problematic on multiple levels. The Assad regime is no friend of freedom or the United States, but this does not mean that the enemy of our enemy is our friend. There are currently 17 different rebel groups in Syria, including the largest group, al-Nusra. Al-Nusra fighters are radical, anti-American jihadists, and they're affiliated with al-Qaeda. But your politicians in Washington are eager to send weapons. They promise, oh, these weapons won't get into the hands of the enemy. I don't believe it. Does anyone believe that? How can we ask our brave young men and women to fight against al-Qaeda in some countries and with al-Qaeda in other countries?